TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel rejects an international call to ceasefire, deeming it a victory for Hamas. The United States ups the pressure on Israel, urging it to diminish the number of civilian casualties during this war. Iran threatens the United States, claiming that the Biden administration's policy vis-a-vis Gaza could spark a regional Mideast War. Israel will further deepen its operations in the Gaza Strip as it remains resolute in its commitment to return all of the hostages who were abducted during the Hamas-orchestrated October 7th massacre back to Israel. As part of its wide-scale activities, the IDF conducted a rescue operation, during the course of which the bodies of 2 Israeli hostages were successfully recovered.
IDF Special Forces recovered the bodies of 2 Israeli hostages during a complex hostage rescue operation in Gaza. 27-year-old Eden Zecharia, who was taken hostage by Hamas from the Nova Music Festival, and 36-year-old Command Sergeant Major Ziv Dado, who was taken hostage while on active duty. Sadly, we did not reach them in time. Our special forces located the bodies of the hostage inside an underground infrastructure in a densely populated area in Gaza. Hamas is holding our people hostage in brutal conditions while hiding among and under the people of Gaza. Among and under the people of Gaza. This makes our hostage rescue operation in Gaza complex, but it will not deter us from our mission, our duty to rescue our hostages from Hamas.
Earlier in Gaza, IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, accompanied by ISA Director Ronen Bar, visited the 98th Division, which operates in the terror-infested city of Han Yunis, situated in the southern part of the Gaza Strip.
I'm glad to meet here in the streets of Khan Yunis also ISA operatives and our forces who are fighting alongside you. I think that what was presented here about the connectivity between intelligence and fire in very high tempo. It includes matters that we are dissecting and deliver here, as well as that which arrives in the speed of sound. It saves lives and also unveils tunnel shafts, and also brings about the apprehension of commanders, and this is the way to break the enemy. I believe that we can define this as a tunnel shafts war. And what can be identified as unique in this war is also in a broad sense is the eradication of the operational and governmental installations, but also very precise in reaching our citizens and to rescue them. I believe that there is no other force that can fulfill these tasks.
General Halevi, for his part, highlighted the mounting pressure on Hamas, which is driving many of its terror operatives to surrender to the IDF forces in the battlefield.
We identify here a lot of pressure, and I think that this reality in which people are exiting with their hands held up indicate a break of spirit, and it also accelerates the achievements. We ultimately was to progress quickly. We are deepening our achievements in the northern part of the enclave, also our entry into the southern part of the strip, as well as our activities under the earth. All these places, all these blows, are very important for the benefit of our achievements. The main method includes the combination between infantry, armored, and engineering operating together in the field, and your connection with intelligence, namely ISA and the Intelligence Directorate, and I meet this connection in every force, which is very important.
Meanwhile, at the Air Force base of Palmachim, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with special forces of the Israeli Air Force 669 and Shaldag units, which have been on the forefront of all major battles fought since the October 7th massacre.
You have lost good friends. We have lost soldiers here. We have lost police officers. We have lost ISA personnel. With their bodies, they blocked the invasion. We must understand the fight that we are in. We are celebrating Hanukkah. Let us note that they fought then against a force that, in effect, decided to wipe the Jewish people off the face of the earth and to cut the thread of life. They did not succeed. In effect, what we are marking today is the holiday that stopped the cutting of the thread of life for the Jewish people. We are in the same war today. There is a force here that wants to wipe the Jews and their state off the face of the earth, and we are fighting the same war with the same heroism. This is not an exaggeration or mere words. You know that this is not exaggerated. There is a very painful price, but it is necessary if we want to live here. We decided to live here, in our homeland, in our state, and this requires a continuing battle. I would like to tell you that this battle will continue until victory. It is not going to end. These are not vain words. Let's eliminate Hamas. There is no alternative.
The Israeli premier went on to highlight the fact that the world is closely monitoring the war in Gaza.
I want to tell you that the entire world is now sitting in the stands watching, wanting to know who is going to win, us or them. Us or Iran's axis of evil. By the way, they want this as a war of the axis. Rightly so. We must win, and that entails additional effort and sacrifice, and we are all prepared for this. This has united the nation. We will remain united and we will win.
It is important to highlight that the Arab group in the United Nations, together with the Organization for Islamic Cooperation, have managed to pass a non-binding resolution at the UN General Assembly demanding of Israel to immediately cease fire in the Hamas-plagued Palestinian enclave.
The result of the vote is as follows: 153 in favor, 10 against, 23 abstentions.
Merely 10 nations stood firm in support of Israel, including the United States, Austria, the Czech Republic, Paraguay, Guatemala, Liberia, Micronesia, Papua New Guinea, and Nauru. 23 other nations opted to abstain, including, among others, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Germany, Argentina, Italy, Hungary, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, and Ukraine. Regrettably, 153 countries have joined the lead of the Arab and Islamic world, including France, Iran, India, China, Sweden, Russia, Finland, Syria, Estonia, Qatar, Australia, North Korea, Switzerland, Iraq, Fiji, Yemen, and Canada, among a long list of other nations. Meanwhile, Israeli ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, voiced Israel's unwavering objection to implement a ceasefire, as it would undoubtedly constitute a victory for the Islamist Hamas in particular and terrorism at large.
A ceasefire means one thing and one thing only: ensuring the survival of Hamas, ensuring the survival of genocidal terrorists committed to the annihilation of Israel and Jews. This is no secret. Hamas's charter makes this clear, and Hamas leaders have publicly stated that October 7th was just a rehearsal. A ceasefire is a death sentence for countless more Israelis and Gazans. By voting in favor of this resolution, you are supporting the survival of jihadist terror and the continued suffering of people of Gaza. The exploitation of the Palestinians has made the UN a moral stain on humanity. Why are you continuing to allow them to make the United Nations irrelevant?
The United States, for its part, highlighted that while it objects to a ceasefire, it does view many clauses of the resolution favorably.
And indeed, there are aspects of this resolution that we do support. We agree that the humanitarian situation in Gaza is dire and requires urgent and sustained attention, that civilians desperately need food and water and shelter and medical care, that a devastating number of innocent people have been killed, and that civilians must be protected, consistent with international humanitarian law. In addition, we support the release of all hostages immediately and unconditionally. Any ceasefire right now would be temporary at the best and dangerous at worst. Dangerous to Israelis, who would be subject to relentless attacks, and also dangerous to Palestinians, who deserve the chance to build a better future for themselves, free from Hamas.
Earlier in Washington, U.S. President Joe Biden hosted his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky, during which he seized the opportunity to note a looming visit to Israel by his national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, as well as by Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin.
I also asked Congress for funding for Israel to take on Hamas and confront multiple other threats backed by Iran in the wake of the October 7th assault. National Security Advisor Sullivan will travel to the region this week and meet with the Israeli War Cabinet, as I have met with, to emphasize our commitment to Israel, as well as the need to protect civilian life and ensure more humanitarian assistance flows and reaches into Gaza for Palestinian civilians. Secretary Austin will also travel to the region this week to step up the international efforts to protect the free flow of commerce through the Red Sea. The entire world is watching what we do, so let's show them who we are. America stands for freedom today, tomorrow, and always.
It's worth noting that Secretary Austin's visit to the region comes at a time when there is increasing pressure over a rise of attacks by Iranian proxies across the region, including in the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb via Tehran's proxy in Yemen, Ansar Allah, the Houthi-dominated terror organization, its proxy in Lebanon, namely Hezbollah, as well as Iran's proxies in Syria and Iraq, including, among others, the Hashd al-Sha'bi alliance. And while Western intelligence agencies remain clear-eyed about Iran's role, the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic leveled a threat toward the United States, claiming a regional escalation could erupt at any given moment.
We are hopeful that the negotiations will lead to the stop of civilian killings in Gaza as soon as possible. However, I'd like to emphasize that based on the situation that we witness in the region, we have repeatedly said that if the war doesn't stop, the possibility of it being expanded is growing more and more. The world sees today that the war in Gaza has gained new dimensions and actions are being taken in support of Gaza from countries in the region such as Lebanon and Yemen. If this situation continues, an uncontrollable and unpredictable explosion could take place at any time. This is what the Americans haven't realized until today, and if they do not realize it soon, the consequences will strongly affect the U.S.
Meanwhile, at the Pentagon, Press Secretary Brigadier General Pat Ryder reasserted that the United States will not hesitate to take action where deemed necessary and appropriate.
We've demonstrated in the past is that our military will not hesitate to take action where we deem it necessary and appropriate, including to protect against actions in the maritime domain that could threaten our forces.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I'd like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Moreover, if you're blessed by our daily updates and would like to help us bear the costs of these productions, since TV7 Israel is 100% donation-based, please consider making a donation. You can do so by visiting our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our upcoming TV7 Israel updates. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.